For this video, we're going to look at an application in Office 365 called Microsoft Sway. To get to Sway, I've logged onto office.com and it's available there. Alternatively, if you're in your email or your OneDrive, something like that, you can click on the 9 little boxes and Sway will be available there. Or if it's not there, click on the All button and this is an alphabetical list of all the applications that are available and you can find Sway there. So what is Sway? Sway is a new thing from Microsoft which allows you to do newsletters, presentations, training materials, reports, things like that. And you may think, well, we can do that in Word and Publisher and PowerPoint. Why do we need something else? Sway is slightly different. It allows you to do all these things, but interactively within a web browser and on any device. So no matter whether the person who is looking at it is looking at it on a mobile phone or a laptop, Sway will do its best to make it look nice, it will be fully interactive and everything will be embedded. So when we go to Sway, you'll see that we can start from a template here. But what we're going to do is we're just going to click on Create New and make a new Sway so we can see it in action. So the way Sway works is it's all based on cards. Here's a card. Because it's a blank Sway, it always gives you a title card first of all, so we can just pop a title in. We'll, for this, say that we're a school and we're sending out an autumn newsletter which we're going to send to parents via a link on our Twitter feed, Facebook page and our school website. So we will call this Autumn Newsletter. You'll see it already flashes up with a kind of add text, images, videos and more, and you can click on the plus. But for now, let's just look at some of the things we can do. We can highlight it. If we click on emphasize, it's bold. If we click on accent, it's italic, and link, of course, is a hyperlink. You'll notice as well we can click on details. So there it's saying that we can add a background image. So if we had a file on our computer, we could open a little Explorer window and drag the file onto the background. But if we click on details, we'll get some more options. So you see we can add a background and we can add a logo. For this, we're going to add a background. And what will happen is that Sway will now start trying to work out what you're doing. You'll notice that Autumn Newsletter has come up as a search option. And what this is doing is searching on Bing images for suitable images for you. So if we click on Autumn Newsletter, that's probably not going to give us what we want. No, as you can see, it's just giving us examples of newsletters. What we want is a nice autumn picture. So we can change our search to just be autumn and either press enter or click on the magnifying glass. And we will get some images open up. Always worth bearing in mind, of course, that these are copyright images. But what we've done is we've ticked this box which says Creative Commons only. This means that any images that we see should be available for us to use free of charge. So we can scroll down the images and decide that I actually do quite like the look of that one there, and we can drag it in. Because this is the title card, we can also add our school logo, and I'll show you in a second where that will appear if you add it. What we want to do now is just have a quick look at what our Sway looks like. So at the moment we've just got Autumn Newsletter and a background image. So if we click on play at the top, you'll see Autumn Newsletter and the image. If we added a logo, it would appear in the center there. It tells us here we can return to editing. You'll also notice that with this design, and we are able to change the designs, which we'll do in a bit, the image is moving and is animated in the background, which makes it look a bit better. So we want to return to the editing. We click on the little pen icon and we can go back. We won't add a logo for now. What we do want to do is add some more content. So at the bottom, if you move your mouse down, you'll see a little green line appears. We can click on that and decide what we want to add. Essentially, you've got two choices, text or media. So text or images, video, audio files, that sort of thing. For now, we just want to add some text. So as you can see, we've got heading 1 or text. We can either click on it there or we can click on text and we have our choice. So we'll say heading 1. Add a first level heading and we can call this Year 6 Trip to Peak District. Again, we get an option to add an image. So this time, let's change our search to Peak District. and we can see a nice image there. We can drag that on and that becomes our background. So let's now play this again. So as you can see, this is on a laptop sideways scrolling. We can use the arrow keys there. If we've got a touch screen, we can actually swipe on the screen, or we can use the scroll bar at the bottom. Some designs are sideways scrolling, some are vertical. As we can see, Year 6 trip to the Peak District, and there's our image. We can go back to editing. And as you can see from this card, it looks slightly different to our title card. So if we have a look at this card, we've still got the emphasize, accent and link. We now have a bin icon, which we can delete that card from the sway. We also have focus points. This is available on the image there as well. So if we click on focus points, this takes our image and we can say the entire image is important. And you'll notice it gives you a little thumbnail of what it will look like on a mobile phone and on a screen. And you'll see that because we've ticked the entire image is important, it puts the whole image up. What we can also do is click on sections of the image which are focus points. These are the key sort of parts of the image that we want people to see. So if it was someone's face, you'd obviously click on it, the focal point of being their face. As you saw, it was animating as we played it earlier. This will try and make sure that any focus points are within the animations, and obviously bits like the sky there won't be so important. So we'll just take those two focus points as being okay. Now it doesn't always animate the image, it does depend on the design, which I say we'll be looking at soon. But it is worth, whenever you put an image in, to just put in some focus points if there are any, because it just ensures that those parts will be seen when the animation happens, if there is one. What we can now do is add some more cards. So you can see we can add a card there, which is within this box, and that means that these things get grouped together. Or you can move down to the bottom, you see the green line, and you can add a card there, and it becomes separate from the group. It doesn't matter which one you pick at first, because you can move these cards around. So what we'll do is we'll just add it within the group, because it is still part of the Year 6 trip to the Peak District. And what we want to do now is add an image. So if we look at media, we can add an image, a video, audio, embed, which is some embed code which we'll look at in a bit, or you can upload your own content. You also have these things called groups. So let's, for instance, say that we had a series of photographs. We can add it as an automatic group, a grid, a comparison, a stack, or a slideshow. You'll notice that stack is one of the options on suggested. We'll look at stack first. So you notice here it now says add content. So you'll see we've got these images that are available on Bing Images. It's on all, so it's looking at images and videos. And you'll notice there's little film icons there to say that those are videos. We can just have images and we could drag them in. But if we click on suggested, you'll see that we can actually get images from our OneDrive, from Bing Images, which is what we're looking at now, Pickit, YouTube videos, or from my device. So you can actually upload your own pictures. So if you're doing something like the Year 6 trip to the Peak District, chances are you'll have some photos on your device and you'll upload them from there. For this, we'll just drag some images in from Bing Images into this stack. And you'll notice when they're there, I can just hover the mouse over the top and drag them and reorder them as I want. Again, each photo can have a focus point, and we can also add a caption if we wanted to. And if you wanted to get rid of them, you can delete it. So, if we look at our cards, we've got the title card, we've got the heading card, and then we've got the stack. So if we click play, let's have a look at how this looks. So here's our autumn newsletter, Year 6 trip to the Peak District, and there's our stack, and as you can see it says tap to flip through this stack, and it becomes a little photo slideshow. So if we look at our stack, as you can see it's a group and it's a stack, all these different photos in. If we make sure we click on the stack, gives us an option of we can ungroup them, or we can make them a group type. We can change the size so that they're slightly bigger. So if we go to the bigger one and click play again, you'll notice the images are now bigger on the screen. We'll go back and we can change the group type. So as you notice when we looked at the group types earlier, we have automatic, and you can just click on play and see how each of these work. So as you can see, that becomes just a little slideshow you can click through. Stack we've seen, grid is fairly obvious, and of course the different slideshows. And you just pick the one that you want. I quite like the stack, so we'll stay there and we'll make sure it's big. What we can also do within the stack, so if you notice I've made sure that I've found the little green line within the stack. I can pop some text in. And if we click play again, you'll see that the text has become one of the options on the stack. We may say, well, we don't want it at the end, we want it at the start. So it's just a case of dragging that up, putting it at the top of the stack, click play, and there it is. Other things we can do. If we go to media, we could add a video, and it simply says drag your video here. Again, you can go to suggested and drag one of the videos that's already on the Bing system, or you can go to YouTube and search for a video on YouTube. Please think about copyright before you do that. Another option you have is if you have a YouTube video, so we're going to look at one of the videos that we've put up on our channel. You get the option to share, and if you click on share, you get embed. And you find some code there which doesn't make sense to most people, but it doesn't matter. And you have a copy button. So if we click copy, you'll notice it says link copy to clipboard. And if we go back to our sway, we can actually add in the media embed. And it will simply say there, paste your embed code here. We'll get rid of that video card because we don't need it. And we'll click play. And you'll see when we go across, there's our gallery. And then we get to the video and we can click on the video and it will play it directly from YouTube within the sway. When you go into media and embed, you can actually embed a great deal of code. You can embed it from, as you can see there, Microsoft Forms, SharePoint, SoundCloud. If you have Word documents, PDF documents, you can actually get embed code within those, pop it on your OneDrive, and you can embed it within Sway. You'll notice as well that even though I've kept it within the same group as the stack, it's kind of gone on its own because it's a video. And when we play it, it's also popped it on the end. You'll notice also that it's popped it on the end small. Again, we can change the size. And you'll notice the video will now be almost full screen. And as you can see, you can carry on going through the sway, adding more and more content, more and more cards, until the sway is as you want it. The other option you have is the design. So once the sway is as you like it and it's all set up, what we can do is we can click on design. You'll notice it will now show you the sway and give you an option of styles. We can customize the style that we have. be wary when you do this. It's not as fully featured as editing styles on Publisher or PowerPoint or Word or anything like that. What Sway is trying to do is make sure that anyone on any web browser can see this. So it gives you a limited amount of colours and a limited amount of fonts to work with. So as you can see, I can change my fonts, but it's not a full set by any stretch of the imagination. It's a small set of fonts because it's got to show on a web page. You've also got the animation, emphasis and the text size and things like that. It gives you a lot of default styles. And if you want to change one, it's just a case of click on there. And you can see how it affects the sway immediately. If you didn't like what you saw, you can click the undo and go back to the previous style. What you can also do if you're feeling a little braver is just click remix and Sway will try to do a design for you. What it will do is look at the colours that are within the images that you've used and the videos that you've used and try to pick a colour scheme which matches those colours. So as you can see, this is a very autumnal selection of pictures and a lot of nature pictures, and it has picked a kind of autumnal type theme which has worked out quite well. Again, we may look at the font and say, oh, we're not too sure about the font. Change it to something a little bit more friendly for the children perhaps. And at any time we can go back to storyline and go back to our cards and make any changes we want. If we click on the three little dots at the top right, we have a few options. We can go back to our sways. You can also do that by clicking on the sway button there. We can create a new one. We can duplicate this sway. We can save it as a template. So if we wanted to do newsletters again, we could save this as a newsletters template. We can print it. We can export it to Word or PDF. You also have some settings for this sway. So language, we're UK, so we can change it to UK. You see you could have a right to left layout. A few options that might be worth considering. Anyone who views this who has a Microsoft account can duplicate this sway. Do you want them to be able to do that? Maybe, maybe not. If you don't, you can still give them the option to export or print. Viewers changing the layout doesn't actually affect the sway itself, it's just for how they see it individually. And show sway informational footer is this little thing that we see at the end. You can actually turn that off in those settings if you wanted to. Autoplay is exactly what it says. Click on autoplay and it will just go through the sway itself. That can be quite useful if you've got a presentation going on a screen. Accessibility checker and accessibility view are very good. It allows you to see and check how it would look for anyone with dyslexia or some form of visual impairment. And once we've got the sway as we like it and we want to share it with people, we can click on the share button. And who do we want to share it with? We can share it with specific people or groups, in which case you would enter their email addresses and they can either view it or edit it. Anyone within your organisation, so they would have to be signed in, or anyone in the world with a link. As you can see, depending on which one you pick, depends on what options you get down here, but you can see we can have a visual link which just gives us a thumbnail and the name. We can send it to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. We can get the embed code if we wanted to embed it, or we can just send out the URL. If we click on there, it'll copy the URL to our clipboard. We can paste it somewhere else. And of course you can set a password for your sway if you wanted to, and allow viewers to share it themselves. And that is a brief overview of Microsoft Sway.